Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by eBodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards.
Well, Bula everyone, Jay Reale here live from Tavi Island Resort in Fiji for our annual Tavi Tube Tour 2024. And man, as you can probably see in the background, we are in a living paradise here on Earth. And the reason for this podcast, it's kind of a promo, I'll be honest with you, for our Tavi Tube Tour trip, which we have every late February, early March. And we invite anyone who wants to sign up to join us here in this absolute paradise. And this man sitting next to me is Jeremy Ferber. What's happening, Jeremy?
Everything is great, Jay.
That's what we're going to talk to you about. Everything is great. Pretty much sums it up. But Jeremy is a Southern California bodyboarder who grew up in San Diego County.
Yeah, I grew up in Encinitas.
Yep. Tell me about that.
In the 90s.
What was your local spot?
Yeah, so grew up in Cardiff, Encinitas back in the 90s at a spot called Seaside. Had a really awesome crew back there. A lot of really competitive guys.
Yep.
A lot of guys I still talk to and still are at the spot riding, and it was great because we met a lot of great people, did a lot of great trips. It was just that time was really kind of a super ideal time, I think, to be a young person in Southern California in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was just such an awesome culture to be a part of at that time.
So somehow you ended up in Colorado. How did that happen?
Yeah, I did. I went to Cal State and got a degree, and I was kind of looking for a job, and I was into racing cars, and this company that I was a customer of just happened to be, long story short, they offered me a job to come out and work for them, and I'd grown up there in North County, and I said, well, if I'm going to leave North County, there's a very short list of places I would be willing to go, because it had to be, if it's not on the beach, there has to be mountains involved, so I can still snowboard and do all the mountain activities.
You wanted to glide.
So yeah, it still had to be, west of the Rockies, and obviously Colorado's on that list. And Anyway, and that was 18 years ago. I got a job out there, and things have been going really awesome ever since. So met my wife, had a family, and things are going great. My wife's a scuba diver, and so we really prioritize beach vacations where there's a component where I can go bodyboarding and she can go scuba diving and have high quality for both. This is coming here to Tavarua. This is our third time here. It does not get any better for the family, for surf, for scuba diving. It literally checks all the boxes to the extent that everywhere else we could even think about going, we're like, well, we know it's not going to be as good as Tavarua, but is it worth it?
Right.
So that's kind of where we are. So this is our third time here.
I love it. Now, Tavarua, the Tavi Tube Tour, it's not a cheap trip by any stretch of the imagination. And a lot of people ask us, hey, is this worth the money we're going to spend to come here for a week or even 2 weeks in some cases? I mean, for your family, what are the things that are here on this trip that make it worth the money you spend to come here?
My wife and I, we've traveled to a lot of tropical locations, and honestly, Tavarua, just being frank, this is the most expensive trip that we go on, and it's also the only trip that we can look back after we go and say, honestly, I think it was actually worth a little bit more than what we paid. And so it's still what we consider to be an excellent value, even though, the dollar amount is high. But compared to other places, like I said, this literally checks all the boxes if you have a family. There's plenty of other great places you can go with just a bunch of dudes to surf,
right? But
there's nowhere that you can do this with family.
It's sort of like, the Four Seasons is known for its luxury hotels. I always tell people it's like the Four Seasons surf resort. I guess is the best way to describe it. You have really nice amenities, great food, the accommodation's very comfortable. You have, a swimming pool and a hot tub and a couple of bars, all overlooking a world-class surf break and boats out to the surf. And even for non-surfers, there's plenty to do, obviously.
Everything's included. The fishing, the paddle boarding, scuba diving's not, my wife's a scuba diver and she's been doing that, but it's a really reasonable price, and she's going on epic dives right off the island. But all the stuff on the island, other than booze, is included. But I will say, Jay, it's all of those things that Jay said are absolutely true. But what I will...
Oh!
Jay
keep
picks up
going.
the camera.
Yeah, the camera blew
Yeah,
up.
we got a little bit of wind tonight coming in. So the thing that I will add to that is that the key and the thing that Jay has developed here that is really the value add and this cannot be overstated, is the community. Because we can go anywhere, and my wife and my daughter, and we can just show up somewhere and be on vacation, but we don't know anybody.
Right.
And you know what we've really started to heavily value since the first time we came here on the trip with Jay is the community. You are with people that either you know or you have camaraderie with, and you're going to get to know, and then you develop relationships with, and it's the wives and the kids. So there's a whole group of the ladies that they go out and hang out and do lady stuff and hang out, and then the kids, you know, there's all different age groups of kids, and they go hang out and make friends and do kid stuff.
Yeah.
So why we believe that this is worth more than the price is because that human element is something that you can't really put a number on, and it's something that you just don't get on a traditional vacation unless you're actively going out of your way to do big group trips with lots of people that you think are awesome. So.
Yes, it's kind of a communal environment that they encourage here by having everyone hang out at the restaurant for all the meals, and you just get to know people, and you know, there's a lot of like-minded people. Obviously, people that love the beach and the ocean, but you don't have to be a surfer or bodyboarder to come here. So that's why we always try to get families here, I think. So, and you're a perfect example of why that works out, because you know, your wife and your daughter, they're not surfers per se, but you are, and they just like the beach and the ocean. And I mean, you're a classic example of a family that takes advantage of all the things that this place has to offer.
Yeah, 100%. This is their favorite trip of the year by far.
Killer, man. So. Well, folks, I just want to get a smattering of opinions from different people that come on this trip, but this is Jeremy Ferber, and we're stoked to have you here, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. We really appreciate what you and Jay put together, and you know, I feel like thank you for inviting us. You know,
oh man, we love it. We love it. So hopefully you can have a great year at your business and come back again next year.
That's the plan.
Right on. So we'll move on to the next person. Jeremy, thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Right on, man. Over and out. All right, next in the box here for our Tavi Tube Tour promo video, and part of the Real Deal show is Jeff Catlin. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. So Jeff is a bodyboarder originally from San Diego, now living in Arizona. So tell us the story.
Arizona.
What's the origin story of Jeff Catlin and how you ended up in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, Arizona is not the surf mecca that Tavarua is, and which is nice because you know, it gives me a chance to get out here and enjoy the finer things in life that you have on a Tavi Tube Tour. I ended up in Arizona, went to college, got a job, started a family, and next thing you know, 30 years go by and you're living in the desert. So
you're living in the desert, but you still make trips to the coast, which is why you're still bodyboarding, and kind of probably how you found us, eBodyboarding, right?
Yeah, bodyboarding is like skiing or any hobby that you have, where if it's in your blood, it's in your blood. And you know, Arizona's 5-hour drive to the beach, so I make sure that I get about 10 days in the water minimum a year, keep in shape. And I literally found eBodyboarding. Funny story, I got a new job and we were doing a sales conference at Huntington Beach. And I decided I needed a new board because I had like a Mach 7 with the bottom delaminating, and it was time for me to get something new. I had a real job, and found eBodyboarding and had you guys drop ship to the Hyatt Regency Huntington Beach.
Oh, sweet!
For my first out of school, bought my own bodyboard.
So you and your wife Heather, you live in the Phoenix area, right?
Just Gilbert's a little suburb of Phoenix. It's about East Valley, they call it. It's about 20 minutes from the airport, 30 minutes from the airport.
Okay. And you found out about our Tavi Tube Tour how?
So I think Instagram.
Yep.
Right. I think I saw pictures of the tube tour and said, oh, they actually let normal humans go to Tavi. I thought Tavarua, part of the trip this week.
Exclusive domain of the rich and famous.
Dave Clark is here, so we met like the founder of Tavarua.
Yes, he's here now.
And as a little grom and growing up in California, you saw the picture of this place in Surfer Magazine and said, this is the end of the universe. How do we ever get there? And so I saw the Tavi Tube Tour and went, like, they actually let regular people go. And so, at the moment that it became available, I stalked you and said, you posted it on the travel site, and I'm like, I'm in. I got to go. No matter what, I got to go. I thought it was going to be a once and done.
Yes.
But what I can tell everybody is, plan on once and done and make sure that you do it because it's important. But save a little in the coffers because you're going to want to come back year after year.
What are the things that you love about it that keep you coming back year after year?
I mean, just sitting where we are right now, it's not a hotel, right? It's not a group tour. it's like you're at your own house. It's like being at the Volcom house at Pike. There's a pool, you're on the beach. Everybody here is here for the same reason. We're here to enjoy the weather, we're here to enjoy the surf. And you know, the guests or the staff is treating the guests so well. You know, they all know what we're here for.
Yeah.
It's just a family atmosphere with a lot of like-minded people. And the waves are fantastic.
And they take the staff, you mentioned the staff, to me that's a big part of it. They take their time to get to know you and know your name, which is, you know, let's face it, at the high end it's hospitality 101, but they remember you when you walk in year after year. It just makes you feel comfortable to see those same faces year after year. But the other part of it to me is the communal aspect of the whole restaurant area, which is on the other side of the camera right now. Everybody hangs out for all the meals, and right now we're in the midst of happy hour. You've seen me with my with my bottle of let's say adult beverage, and that's kind
you
of
should
like
be hydrating. You've done some swimming today.
But we're spending like a lot of time in the ocean, like at least 2 surfs a day, so maybe some days 3.
Yeah.
And you know, we're looking at a big swell on the way here for tomorrow and the next day, so we're just trying to get as many waves as we can before it gets out of control huge here, right?
And I think another item for myself, when I first thought about coming to Tavarua, I had this huge anxiety attack of, like, I live in Arizona and I surf like 10 times a year. Can I handle what's about to come my way? And you know, back on the staff, right? They're here because they love it and they're going to make it a great experience for you. So, you know, whatever your skill level is, you don't feel embarrassed, don't feel shy. They will find something to make this experience amazing.
It's a perfect point to make, Jeff. A lot of people worry that they just know Cloud Break. Cloud Break is Tavarua in their minds, and they don't realize there's like 8 other spots in this area that all break on varying tides and winds. So some of our guests on Tavi Tube Tour never even go to Cloud Break.
Yeah.
They don't want giant, crazy barreling waves. They want mellow, fun, even like waist to chest high waves. There is that option for those folks. So it's, you know, it's one of these surf trips that you can get out there in small waves, you can get out there in big waves, whatever you choose. And in fact, right here to Jeff's left, you can't see it on camera, but I've shown it on some of our Tavi Tube Tour videos, there's a little spot they call Kiddie Land, where on the high tide, a lot of people send their kids or spouses or anyone who's never ridden a wave before out for their very first waves ever. And it's a super mellow spot, right?
And it's, you know, the water's 86 degrees
Yeah,
today.
it's at least.
It's crystal clear. You know, your family, your kids, anybody who doesn't appreciate the ocean, say you live in California and it's, you know, 60 degrees in the summer, you just walk in the ocean. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And as I said, the guys that work at the surf shack, they're happy to come out and teach somebody that doesn't know how to surf. And when you're on the boat, if you're not comfortable, they'll get you right where you need to be. They'll tell you how the brake works. And so it's a combination for me of really great surf, but a chance to learn. And there's literally no jockeying for position, aggressive vibe. Everybody's here for the same reason. There's plenty of ways to go around. And just the atmosphere is so relaxing. And I can't imagine a surf trip that would be any more fun than this.
I think the main thing to note here is they remove, Tavarua I should say, removes all the barriers to entry to anyone who is tentative to go in the ocean. Starting with, as you mentioned, the 87-degree water. It's crazy warm here. It is not cold at all, no shock to the system whatsoever. I mean, the air, it's like 90 degrees and humid, so you want to get in the ocean. The surf here, as I mentioned, and Jeff mentioned, at Kiddie Land, very small, easy for the first waves somebody's ever ridden in their life. This is the place to do it. They have the folks at the boat shack that are very helpful and encouraging. They'll push the little kids in the waves. They have masks, snorkels, fins, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards, everything to get somebody in the ocean that's not usually used to being in the ocean. This is the place to do it. It's so mellow and so easy to get out there. So, you know, I think the message is if you have a family member that's tentative about being in the ocean, that will all change if they come here to Tavarua, right?
Yeah, I would agree. And I would think also, you know, sometimes we've seen some people that visit this year that have not traveled internationally very much. And, you know, Fiji's not that close. It's a bit of a hike from California or Europe, for that matter. But the people of Fiji are extremely welcoming. And so from the day or the moment you arrive in Nadi at the airport, you're relaxed. Everything is smooth. It's not hustle and bustle. It's not.
It's Bula vibes.
Bula vibes. I mean, they say Bula vibes.
Bula vibes.
I think they do it on Fiji Airways is welcome home.
Yes.
And it really is. It's like home. You walk in, the staff knows your name. They want to play with your kids. They want to understand your story.
Yes.
It's so comfortable.
Well, Jeff, I mean, geez, you could work for the Fijian tourism industry.
Ministry of Tourism, yeah.
Or the eBodyboarding travel liaison here, Jeff Catlin. I mean, he's been on a few of our trips, our Waco, Texas Tube Tour trip, our Surf Ranch Roundup trip. So he knows what we throw out there, and that's the bodyboard vibe. We love hanging out with like-minded people, and Jeff is one of those people. So thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jay.
Really appreciate it, man. We're looking forward to more trips in the future coming up.
And
so,
stay tuned to the feeds because it should be extremely fun to watch for the next 2 days.
It's going to be good. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that's it for Jeff Catlin. We're going to get somebody else in here, and over and out. All right, folks, our next person in the, I wanted to say penalty box, but it's like the hot seat really for you. Ted is not a big on-camera guy. Like Vicky, he hates being on camera, so I'm gonna keep his time here really easy. But folks, this is Ted Mullen. What's up, Ted?
What's up, Jay?
Right on. I will say this: Ted has been on every Tavi Tube Tour that we've had.
Almost.
Have you missed one?
I missed the first one.
Okay, so you missed the first one, which was with Jeff Hubbard back in 2018. But since then, Ted has been on every single Tavi Tube Tour. Why, Ted, do you keep coming back for more? Tell me.
Well, I mean, it grabbed me in the first one. Funny story. I was working. I had just started a new job, and some of the guys that had started the company I was working for were in the Motu.
Oh, okay.
Same week that you and Jeff and everyone else were here.
Yep.
And so they came back and they told me, they were like, hey, there were a bunch of bodyboarders out there. And so I went online, or I can't remember how, but somehow I stumbled into your trip, and I was like, oh my God. And then, of course, the next trip was Mike Stewart.
Yes.
And so it was like,
so you jumped on for that one.
That was a bucket list thing.
Yes.
So had to jump on that.
Talk about that trip with Mike Stewart. That was in 2019. I will link up at the top of the screen for those of you watching on YouTube the video of the year Mike Stewart came with us in 2019. But talk about that year, man. We had an epic day at Cloudbreak, right?
We did. Yeah. No, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I had read an article at one point that was talking about one of the things you have to do is surf with a professional surfer to see like what, you know.
Yeah, their level of riding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so never forgot that. And so just being able to be out in the water with Mike was truly amazing.
Oh yeah, I know. He's he's an obvious legend. Oh, come on now. Yeah. So Ted, you live in LA, right?
I do. I'm up in Santa Monica.
Have you always lived up there?
No, I've been there for about 15 years now.
And where are you from originally?
I mostly grew up in Pasadena, so in the inland. Yeah.
And how did you start bodyboarding?
Well, my parents used to go to the beach all the time. Just got to Santa Monica Beach of all places.
Oh yeah.
And just take the boogie out. And my brother and I, or we'd go down to Coronado Island and go out there.
In San Diego?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And and then just kind of continued on. My friends never boogied, so I was usually like traveling down to Huntington Beach by myself and just going out. And kind of tying it back to why I joined the trip is because, you know, I'm with like-minded people.
Right.
Everyone's super friendly. It's nice to have a whole group of people yelling at you on the, you know,
in the water, like,
go! Exactly. So it's just nice to be around that. And I haven't really had that growing up.
So what do you love about Tavi Tube Tour other than that, obviously, like-minded people group out there encouraging you? What else about this place attracts you to come back here year after year?
I mean, it's obviously the Disneyland of waves, right? So,
perfect description.
Yeah. Something for everybody. I'm not like the best bodyboarder here, so I know I can go wherever and find something that's kind of within my abilities.
Yes.
And obviously I'm sure everyone talks about the people and how friendly everyone is. I think you've been able to kind of bring a great group of people here that's super friendly, super social. Yeah. Just, and that keeps you coming back.
Yes.
It's just a lot of fun.
I agree. What's your favorite spot here?
Favorite spot? You know, it was probably restaurants last year when I came here. We had a lot of fun.
Yep.
It wasn't overly huge for me, but it was like perfect size and just, yeah.
Well, yeah, so now as we record this, it's Tuesday in the midst of our second week of our Tavi Tube Tour. Ted arrived on Saturday for week 2, and we are looking at potential for a massive swell on Thursday, which could be really good out here at restaurants. So I think everybody's like waiting with bated breath to see if restaurants turns on,
Every
right?
single conversation has been about what's coming. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll see if it lives up to that.
Oh man, so excited.
Yeah.
So now, Ted, you usually come here solo,
I do.
right? And you hang with all the bodyboard crew here.
Yep.
I mean, is this something you're going to continue to do, or it's kind of, obviously it's an expensive trip. It's not cheap. We all know that. But I mean, you keep coming back year after year. Do you feel like you're getting a value for the money that you spend on this trip?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a better place in the world to go for bodyboarding and just being around good people, like I said,
Yeah.
right? So I'll be keeping this on the schedule as long as my wife lets me. I tried to invite them over here, but I don't think they're into the...
Are they not beach people?
Not really.
Okay.
And my wife happened to read something about snakes.
Oh.
So I'm out.
There are sea snakes on
I
this
have not
island.
seen.
You haven't seen
I've
one?
seen one under a branch.
Okay.
Under a log.
Yes.
That's about it. But it's all stories.
Right. It's all hearsay. But there are sea
there are.
snakes on the island. There's also bats, but they do not bother you. They're fruit bats, I believe. And there's baby sea turtles. By the way, were you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
were you around when those turtles hatched? We had
amazing.
3 days ago a bunch of baby sea turtles hatched from eggs and crawled into the ocean. Unbelievable. I mean, you just can't write this into a script.
It's amazing. And I think Jeremy saw another nest come up
Oh,
as
man.
well, right? So
Yeah, so there's a lot of nature happening out here, plenty of waves, and Ted is here for all of it. As we mentioned, he's been here for almost every Tavi Tube Tour we've had. He just missed one, but he is our repeat customer, I guess you could say, and we're stoked to have him. Ted, thanks, man.
fun.
Really
Fun. Thanks for
appreciate it,
doing this,
and
Jay.
thanks for sucking it up here for the last
All
six
good.
and a half minutes for the video. So we're stoked to have Ted Mullen on this trip. Thank you, brother.
no problem.
All right, we'll
It's
see
been
who
fun.
else we can get in the hot seat. Stay tuned. Well, folks, the next person in the hot seat is one of the people, sorry, it is happy hour, folks, excuse me, people who have spent many a time here in Tavarua. How many times have you been here to Tavarua now?
This is my fourth trip.
Fourth trip. This is Aaron. Say your last name for us.
Aaron Batula.
So, okay, there you go. I was pronouncing it correctly. I wanted to make sure. How's it going, Aaron?
Good, Jay. How you doing?
Right on. Very well. Thank you, Aaron. So Aaron is a regular on our Tavi Tube Tour. He's also been on our Waco trip, our
Yes.
Texas Tube Tour. And Aaron, you live now in Lompoc, California, but you're originally from Hawaii. Where
Yes.
in Hawaii are you from?
I grew up in Makakilo, which
Okay.
is, they call it Kapolei now, so.
Right. It
Yeah.
used to be called Makakilo?
It used to be, yeah.
Okay, so that's like on the southwest side of Oahu,
Yes, it is.
right? Okay.
So back when there were a lot of plantations, you know, sugarcane.
Yeah.
So that area was all undeveloped. When the sugarcane industry left Hawaii, it became like the second city development there. So all the new houses have been built in that area. So we used to be this little community way out on the west side.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of like in the middle of all the growth and the development and stuff like that. So.
And it's like tract housing out there now.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot of-
yeah.
I mean, I
a lot
know.
of
Yeah.
a lot of people are living on in that area of Oahu now. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So Aaron, you.
Hi.
Hey, Vicky.
here's Vicky's jumping in, which is
You can
great.
share by,
This is Vicky.
You can share my microphone here.
Yep. Perfect. So Aaron, you. How the heck did you end up moving from Oahu and you now live in Lompoc? Give us the timeline there. How
So I
did
grew
that
up in
happen?
Hawaii, and I went to the University of Hawaii, and I joined Air Force ROTC when I was there because they paid for my tuition, all that stuff like that.
Yep.
And then when I graduated, it was kind of cool because you're already set up for your career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go active duty. My first assignment was in Italy, and then I spent 4 years in North Dakota. I ended up back in California because that's where our schoolhouse was. So I went from being a missile combat guy to being a missile combat instructor. and I ended up at Vandenberg Air Force Base,
Yeah.
where Lompoc is.
Yep.
And I really liked it there, so I just ended up kind of making that my home, you know. So.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
I have
Appreciate
so
it.
much respect for people that serve our country in the military. My dad is one of those, and Aaron, obviously, carrying on that tradition. So thank you, Aaron. You've obviously continued to bodyboard. Where do you bodyboard near Lompoc? You don't have to give up any secret spots.
So
or
I
anything.
have to go full disclosure. I've probably bodyboarded more in Tavarua than I ever have locally. Because I'm like you, Jay.
It's freaking freezing up there,
the one
man.
thing I can't stand is cold water. So I have to motivate myself to get in the water up there. But if I do go up there, it's typically Halama. Or we have another friend that's been on a bunch of our Tavi Tube tours, Dave Long.
Dave Long,
He lives down
Legend Dave. Shout out to you, Dave.
Shout out, Dave. And
you're
Dave will be the guy that kicks me in the butt and tells me I got to get in the water. So we'll go to like Magoo every now and then.
Yeah.
Or and he wants me to come down and surf with him at Strand, but he's getting ready to move. So I think those days in Oxnard are going to be kind of less now that he's moving. So
Yeah. So here we are in Tavarua, which is to me paradise on earth. Why do you like coming back here year after year?
Well, the first year we came in 2018, I mean, it was groundbreaking. I mean, what you guys did for us was just amazing. I never thought I'd be able to surf in Tavarua, and then I found on eBodyboarding, it's like, hey, we're going to Tavarua, sign up. And I was like, I'm on it. So I was one of the first guys to sign up. You know, back then we had a pro come with us, and Jeff Hubbard was that first pro that we had, and he's such a good dude. We had a great time. We had like perfect cloud break for a week, and when it wasn't gigantic, but there were some sessions where there was some pretty good size, and for some reason our crew were like the only people out there for an entire week.
Yeah.
Like every time we were out there in the morning, nobody
empty.
came. Yeah, it was empty, and so it was just us. There were a lot of accomplished riders, you know, and just watching everybody just jam out there was just amazing. So that was the first year, and then, you know, the second year with Mike Stewart, couldn't have passed that up either.
Yes.
You know, and then ever since then, it's been, you know, great. Getting great waves is like the cherry on top of the sundae, but just being here with you guys is like getting the total experience. I think one thing I've learned this year is just to enjoy everything that Tavarua has. Yeah, we're going to get great waves, but even if it was like 2 to 3 feet the whole week, I would still be happy because just being here and having a nice, relaxing vacation, you know. So.
Well, let's go back to the Mike Stewart year,
Okay.
because there was a day out at Cloud Break that was pumping, and we were all out there. And Aaron, tell us about your wave.
Okay.
We all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But let the viewers and the listeners on the podcast know what I'm talking about.
So it was the biggest day of that trip. I mean, it was solid, double overhead plus.
Yeah, for sure.
And a bunch of us followed Mike into the lineup. You know, the guys that wanted to get a good shot or a good wave. And for some reason, there were like 8 or 9 of us out there, and everybody caught the set before us. And it was just me and Mike sitting out there. And Mike had already caught 2 or 3 waves. And this macking set just comes in, and then Mike looks. I had position on Mike anyway, but Mike just looks at me. I look at him. He kind of gives me that little nod, and he starts paddling away. So I'm like, well, heck. If Mike Stewart nods at you, no matter how scared I am, I have to take this wave,
Gotta go.
or else I am never going to live it down.
No.
And what I should have done is I should have just stayed where I was and just paddled into it. But you know, you do that thing where you paddle closer to the peak.
Too deep.
So I paddled too deep. I took off. It was already breaking behind me. And the last thing I heard before I took off was Vicky screaming, "Go on!" And it was a pretty sizable wave. I made it about halfway down the face, and I airdropped, and I just lost it. And one of the best wipeouts I think of in Tavi Tube Tour history, huh? So
Let's see if we can find that.
There's a picture.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have it, and Aaron has it. So, yes, Aaron has, I will say, unfinished business at Cloud Break that he's thought about. And
Yes.
then last year, we had another incident where it was solid, pumping Cloud Break, but not classic Cloud Break in the sense that there were 2 different swell directions. So we pulled up on the boat. It was a very big day out there. I'm going to call it, let's say 6 to 8, 10-foot sets, but chaotic, not classic where it's breaking predictably. And Aaron decided to jump in the water. What happened to you, Aaron?
I was going to play it safe, actually. I was going to sit in the inside. And so I jumped off the boat. I think we jumped off the boat like probably around the same time.
I waited
Okay.
until I saw what happened to you.
Yeah, there were some people in the water already. I think Rob Barber was already out, and so they were catching some waves farther
And
up the
Vicky.
point. Yeah, and Vicky was out too. And I decided, well, I'm going to jump off the boat and play it safe and hang on the inside. But you know, with the tower, the tower is kind of only like it's not the full tower anymore. It's only sticks and stuff.
Sticks.
So I lost my frame of reference and I got too close to the reef. And I was looking up the point at one direction of swell, and then this rogue more westerly peak came in out of nowhere, and it was big, and it started breaking. But that one I didn't feel as panicked because it broke so far away from me that by the time it got to me, it was just this massive ball of white water. So I duck dove and I came up through it, and the lifeguard, his name was Carlos. He popped up right next to me and was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm okay." I mean, I duck dove it, and the only thing that saved me really was it had broken so far away from me that by the time it got to me, it already steamrolled.
It had
dissipated most of it. But yeah, that was an unpleasant surprise also. So.
My God, unreal. So lots of adventure, plenty of stories to go around here for everyone that's been to Tavarua. Aaron, what brings you back here time and time again? I mean, what do you love about this place?
You guys, and being, you guys have been great hosts. And like I said, in the beginning it was like, hey, we're going to get to surf the waves of our lives. But every year I come back, I'm like more and more enjoying just the experience.
Yeah.
And I think, if anybody's thinking about signing up for the Tavi Tube Tour, I think one of the things you guys do the best is you guys always make sure that everybody in your group is engaged, having a good time. Because, you have people from different board riding disciplines and also different levels of ability. And you guys make it a point to say, hey, we're not always going to go to cloud break and surf double overhead macking, death-defying waves.
Yeah, Thank you.
You guys try to find a niche for the longboarding crew, or for the beginner crew, and a lot of kids are trying to learn how to catch waves too. So you guys are always able to find them the boat and the break that they can go to where everybody can have a good time. So.
That's a great point.
Even 76-year-old Tom, right?
Yeah, he's shredding out there, man.
Yeah. Guy on this trip, his name is Tom. He's 76. He is an absolute warrior. Yeah. Charging every session and just not caring. I mean, he gets caught inside, doesn't care. He just cruises and makes it happen. So, yeah, I mean, there's no age limit. There's no barriers here. The boatman can find ways for every ability level. It doesn't matter. So you're laughing at me. It is happy hour, folks. It doesn't matter if
he's a little tipsy.
If you want to ride 2 to 3 foot waves or 10 to 15 foot waves, there are spots for you to surf out here. So, I've said it in some of the earlier interviews. A lot of people come here and they think, oh, cloud break, giant cloud break. It's not about cloud break. That's one of about 8 or 9 spots in this area. So there's so many other spots around. And I mean, don't be afraid to come to Tavarua. It's an ocean paradise, right? I mean, would you say that?
Yeah.
Right?
It's just paradise,
Yeah, I mean, look what we've experienced this week already with the turtles and the dolphins. I mean,
I did mention that.
Oh, you did.
Well, you weren't here for that, but I mean, we talked about that earlier with the turtles hatching, and you love to snorkel, Vicky.
Oh my gosh, I can't get enough. I almost like it more than bodyboarding.
She'll go out there when we're surfing cloud break with a mask and a snorkel and just swim around with a GoPro in her hand, and occasionally like, oh, there's somebody riding a wave, click, 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 and then go back underwater and shoot the fish in the reef.
It's phenomenal. It's beautiful to see it.
And the warm water makes it so much more accessible and easy. So folks, so that's Aaron Batula. Aaron, thank you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Jay.
We're stoked to have you.
Thanks for doing this every year. We appreciate you guys.
He comes on our other trips too. He's been to our Texas Tube Tour and our Surf Ranch Roundup trip. So the point is, it's like-minded people enjoying life together, right? So
it's like you always said, Jay, it's all about experiences, right?
Yeah, and you never know, I always say this, you never know when your last day on this planet's going to be. So take advantage of every day and try to get on one of these trips if you can, folks.
I always say, save those lattes and don't go out and buy $15 margaritas. There's ways you can save to pull off a trip like
100%.
this. 100%. I don't know.
Right on. So that's Aaron Batula in the hot seat. Thanks. Aaron. We're going to get the next person in here. And over and out for Aaron.
Thank you, brother. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Vicky. You guys are awesome.
Love you, Aaron.
Right on, man. Cool. Hey, folks. Back with yet another person in the hot seat. This is Mr. Ryan McCann. What's happening, Ryan?
We're doing, Jay.
Right on. Thank you. Doing well. This is your second Tavi Tube Tour?
Second Tavi Tube Tour. 2 years in a row.
So Ryan lives in New York. He lives in specifically Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York.
New York. Soon to be Lido Beach, right?
Vacation home.
Okay, vacation home. So he heads out to Long Island to get his waves. This is a long way from Long Island. What brings you to Tavarua Island Resort?
Tavarua is a very special place.
Yeah, tell me why you think that it's a special place.
A little heart-shaped island in the South Pacific.
Yes.
If you've ever been to Fiji, maybe the nicest people I've ever met in the world.
And on Tavarua, they just take it to the next level. Everyone's happy, everyone's nice. And then on top of that, you got Cloud Break, which, as far as I'm concerned, might as well be one of the wonders of the world.
Yes.
It's just an amazing, amazing thing to look at. Even if you're not surfing it, it's just cool to see.
I agree. And there's a ton of spots here. There's like 8 or 9 spots, all within a short distance here of Tavarua. Is Cloud Break your favorite of those spots, you think?
You know, it depends on the day, right? So I had the most fun last year out at restaurants.
Yep.
And I was by myself with Issei. There's the 2 of us going, you know, while everyone else was at Cloud Break, but that's because I missed the boat.
But it worked out.
But it worked out. But that said, yeah, Cloud Break is just a really cool experience. And if you surf, or if you're into waves or into bodyboarding surfing, it's just one of those spots you got to go to.
Yeah. So I mean, why do you come here with our Tavi Tube Tour? Is it the attraction of being with other like-minded people, or you just like this time of year? What is it?
Well, one, it's the accessibility that you guys have. You know, it's a little more difficult for a single person or just 2 people to make the arrangements and come here on their own.
You're right.
So the group tour itself is a real draw.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're here with bodyboarders.
Yep.
You know, so like even today, pretty much everyone out there was on a bodyboard.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I like, and that's why I've come here. And it's just on the bucket list.
Right
on. And you guys provide that. You know, you guys provide a bucket list type of scenario.
I love it, man. Now, you know, Ryan travels a lot. He's been to many places on this planet.
Yep.
How does this rate among some of the places that you've been?
So I don't usually rate, but what I can say is I've almost never gone to the same place twice.
Okay,
and
interesting.
I've been here twice. You know,
wow.
So last year I came, and I knew I had to come back. So that is an indication of something very special.
Wow.
Yep.
I love it, man. How long you been bodyboarding?
Since I was about 7.
And do you still bodyboard in New York year round?
I do. I try to bodyboard year round. It gets very cold.
Yeah.
You know, but when the swell comes, you got to get out there.
Yeah. Are you digging the warm water here? Is that a big attraction for you?
I'm loving the warm water. But that said, I do find myself almost sweating out there.
Yes. The water temp is probably high 80s, right?
It's warm. And if you're not used to it, it's the opposite of cold. You know, it's just a different type of thing that you got to work through.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the rule here is if you like warm water and you like tropical environments, good waves, good people, Tavi Tube Tour is probably a good addition to the travel cachet for you if you're a world traveler, right?
Absolutely. It's a must see.
Do you think it's you know, it's obviously not a cheap trip, but all the other stuff you get here, the meals and the boat trips out to the surf every day, is it worth the money? I mean, you wouldn't. I'm stating the obvious. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't, but right?
Yeah, and I definitely wouldn't have come twice, right? If it wasn't worth the money. But it's 100% worth the money. It's a surf-focused trip. Everyone here is waiting for the waves, waiting to go out. It's literally perfect.
Love it.
It doesn't get any better.
Well, Ryan McCann said a mouthful. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, brother. Thanks very much. We'll get the next person in the hot seat shortly. Woo! All right, folks. Back with the next person in the hot seat. This is Mr. Tom Skinner. How's it going, Tom?
That's going great. Super great.
I love it. Tom, how old are you?
I'm 71. I'll be 72 in July.
71, 72 in July, and Tom is here on the Tavi Tube Tour. Why? Why are you on this trip with us? You wanted to go last year and you canceled.
I wanted to go last year and I didn't. It was kind of a spur of the moment, and I didn't have I was out in Colorado. I had my board, and I thought, hey, I can go on the tour if they got a space. And Jay kind of got things rolling for me, and then I had to send him I don't have my passport. It's back in Ohio.
Oh, man.
So that's part of the reason I'm here. I was going to, but the other reason is just making up for lost time. In 2010, I found that, man, I should have been doing nothing but bodyboarding my whole life.
Yeah.
a couple of hurricanes went up the East Coast and generated some big surf, and I bought some. Okay, instead of little toys, I'll buy some equipment, and went out, and it's like, oh man, look what I've been missing.
I love it.
Yeah.
So now you're originally from Ohio, right? Are you from there?
No,
or
no,
you just
I'm from Virginia.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're from Virginia, but you were working in Ohio as a physics professor.
Right, yeah.
And then you retired and got a place in Topsail North
No,
Carolina.
I had
right?
the place in Topsville since '95.
Okay, even
And,
when you were a professor. Okay.
Yeah, that was there were people, when I saw the house, it was, there were renters in it, and I thought, man, if there's ever a chance that I'm going to have something at the beach on an academic salary with a family, this is it. I'll just rent it out. It was a disaster. Renters, don't rent your place out to anybody.
Wow. Good
Unless you
advice.
really know what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm sure you can do well renting.
But it didn't work out, so you decided you would just keep it for yourself.
Yeah, I just had lousy renters, and now that I've got the renters out and fixed it up, it's like, well, why am I not living in it? You know, so
Yeah.
so I moved down there just in 23.
And is that how you started bodyboarding?
Well, no, I mean, I've been in the water and body surfing, you know, pretty much my whole life, and playing around with boards and kind of mediocre boards. Never bought any equipment though, because I figured I don't live at the beach, and as soon as I buy equipment, I'm probably never going to the beach again. So I just didn't have any equipment, but I was always out in the water and trying to catch waves, but the bigger waves I couldn't get them because I couldn't generate the speed. So when I heard this storm was going, I was visiting my son. He was living in my house at the time, and I visited him in the fall, and there was a storm coming up the coast. I thought, oh man, I'm gonna go get some equipment, and so I went out, and I was a little hesitant to go out because it was like 6 to 8 feet from the back, so whatever the front was,
Wow.
they were big.
Wow.
And I was thinking, you know, the surfers are going to be pissed off. Here's this bodyboarder out here there's a pier, right? Everybody shows up at the pier,
Okay.
and that's where the surfers usually good on Topsville Beach.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I figured, oh, tough beans. I don't care if they don't like it. I'm going out. And I got out there. It was a Friday, I think, and it's like everybody out there was that was 10 years ago now, 15 years ago. But everybody was my age. It's like, oh man, all these guys, yeah, they got jobs and then they can afford to take off, and the kids are in school. So the first wave I got, it was like all that 30 years of experience all came together and focused in that one moment, and everything that needed to happen just happened. With like, when I got through the wave, I was like, what just happened there? That was, I should have been doing nothing but this. I missed my calling.
Yes.
So I got and then the next week, I was getting ready to leave, and my son, I don't know, Dad, they say there's another storm coming. So I hung around for a couple more days. Sure enough, we had another week of bomb and surf. It was like, and I called a friend after that and said, you know, that's rare to have surf like that on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, where can I go to get more surf? He goes, well, my brother goes to Nosara, Costa Rica, every year. And so then I started going to Costa Rica, and this is all part of making up for lost time, you know?
Yeah, so you were a physics professor and you just decided, I want to enjoy my life and have some thrill. And bodyboarding kind of met those needs, right?
Bodyboarding, it's like surfing's a fountain of youth, I'm
yes.
convinced.
Well, this guy, I will point out on this year's Tavi Tube Tour, Tom, it's his first year here. He's always first in, and well, not necessarily first in, but he's always last out of the water. And big surf, small surf, doesn't matter. Tom gets caught inside.
That's my trademark.
Yes, sometimes. But you know, most people, they get a little nervous. But Tom, you have these like breathing exercises you do, and you just kind of cruise if you get caught inside, and you eventually make your way back out. So. What's the secret there to your level of calm?
There's a story if you want it on the podcast.
Sure, let's
you have to bear with me for a couple minutes because you're going to be thinking, what the hell's this got to do with anything? But when I was younger, I could really jump. I felt like I had rockets in my legs. And I can remember the moment when I understood. I was maybe 13 or 14. We're playing tag, but we had this thing called multiplication tag that if you grab the person and could hold them for 3 seconds, then now there's 2 people that are running, then 3 people and 4 people. And so I'm running away from this crowd and running through this yard, and there's a chain link fence in front of me. I just launched myself over it, and as I went flying over, I thought, man, how come I never noticed I could do this before? And well, now I realize it's because you couldn't do it before. When all that testosterone kicks in, you know, then you're like, you're ramping up. And So I could always jump, and I used to revel in it. Like a loading dock, you walk up to a loading dock, there's always steps around the side. I'd take a couple quick steps and pop up to the top and get that little split second worth of weightlessness,
Yes.
And so I understood that it was something special, but if I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it, eventually, and especially, at some age you're not going to be able to do it, but it happened much sooner than, like, by 40, it's like all that fast twitch muscle was kind of doing something else. I don't know where it goes. And so if I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it, I would have done it a whole lot more. So now, here comes the punchline.
Yeah.
Now I can still power through all that surging surf.
Yes.
And it's like, I want to do it for as long as I can. It's not going to last forever. And it's like it's elating, if that's a word, elation.
Yes.
To make
you get
it through,
elation from it, sure.
And my body is like going, thank you. Whereas working in physics, when I'd come home at the end of the day, I enjoyed what I did, but all that, you get your mind spinning and I never felt like it was. I got to a point where I thought, I don't think this is good for you.
It wasn't exhilarating.
No, it's definitely not exhilarating.
The opposite of exhilarating.
It can be exhilarating at times, but for the most part, it's just draining.
Interesting.
So the physical stuff, and that just may be a difference in your makeup. Some people, maybe it's exhilarating for 90% of physicists or something, and they get charged up or something.
Yeah.
But sitting at a desk, that I don't know how that's just not me.
I love it, man. I love your whole vibe and everything you do out there. I mean, it's inspirational to the rest of us. I'm 11 years younger than you, but I hope to be where you are in 11 years, man.
Yeah, take care of yourself and
thank you.
For sure.
Well, so what do you love about the Tavi Tube Tour, and particularly Tavarua Island Resort? What is it that attracts you to this place? I know it's your first time here, but what do you like about it? Let me hear the positives.
Well, there's no negative, and
that's perfect to say. Yes, thank you.
I guess besides the surf, that's the obvious thing.
Yeah.
And the people, and this is like, again, my friends, when I'm telling them about it, they're laughing because it's like, the food is just, I'm an eating machine, man. I love to eat. And then you go out.
2 plates of every meal, folks.
Or 3. Actually, I've cut back the second week. I've cut back from 3 plates to 2 plates. And but you go out, and you're burning calories at a furious pace.
Yeah. And
then you come back in. I think I was telling you yesterday. Yeah, it was you on the boat. I was saying that back when we were little kids, you'd be out playing, like, especially in the winter, it's cold, you're out there for a long time, and then your mom calls you at lunchtime, and you come in, and she's got grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, comfort food and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, this is like the closest you can be to going back to, like, you're out surfing all morning, and you come in, and it's like, breakfast time, lunchtime, whatever, dinner time.
Totally agree, man.
Yeah, it's super great.
Totally agree, man. And somebody else does the dishes.
Yeah, they do the dishes, they do the cooking. You come in, it's all made for you. It's like the best, what to call it? The best.
What's the best?
Return to mommy that you can imagine.
I agree, man. So good. I love it. So. Yeah, we hope to have you back on a future Tavi Tube Tour.
Yeah, you bet.
Tom, you've been a real inspiration to everybody, including the boatmen. I think they're like, they watch you and they're like, oh my gosh, Tom's in trouble, but you're never in trouble. You're always just
knock on wood.
You're making way. Yeah, right. So that's awesome, man. So Tom Skinner, thank you, man. I appreciate your few minutes here.
It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be.
No, it's just a conversation, man. And we love having Tom on this trip.
No, I always get it wrong. There we go.
The shot guy, he's got the shot. We love it, folks. So that's Tom Skinner. We're going to get the next person on the hot seat, and thank you, Tom.
Okay, ciao for now.
Thank you, brother. All right, man. See ya. All right, next person on the hot seat here is a bodyboarding fixture in the South Bay section of Los Angeles in the United States. This is Trevor Ellis. What's up, Trevor?
Gotcha.
Right on. So I've known Trevor for many years. He was a competitor, a voracious competitor back in the day. Probably still is if he wanted to be.
Yeah.
But now he's a family man and a business owner. And you can see his son in the background there. So
Caleb.
Caleb's a bit of a ham back there. But Trevor, this is his first time on the Tavi Tube Tour. Trevor, let me talk about your bodyboarding background. You're not competing anymore? You're done with that?
Done.
Done competing.
Done.
But you take a few trips now. You go
I
on
go
a
on
few
a lot of
bodyboarding
trips.
trips.
I go on a lot of trips. Yeah.
What's your favorite trip other than Tavarua?
I would say I like going to Nicaragua. I like going there.
Okay.
Got turned on to it a few years ago. Probably have been 4 times now since the first time I went.
Northern Nicaragua or other parts of Nicaragua?
It's northern the Boom.
Okay, right.
Boom, right.
That's northern Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Right.
I've always loved the South Pacific.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do more of that.
Yeah.
But this was definitely a trip that I was looking forward to doing at some point. And I'm not on the line like everybody else is.
Right.
I should be on the line more after hearing about everything
so
on the sound.
I've been telling him to get on our Instagram and check our website.
They have a website.
So he doesn't miss our trips. He's been on our Waco trip, our Texas Tube Tour trip, and this is his first time on Tavi Tube Tour. Yeah.
Tavi. It's not the last though.
Right.
No, yeah, like funny story, my I'll make it quick, but my wife and I, exact opposites. Not an ocean person.
Right.
Doesn't want to go on surf trips. Did not want to come here because it was during cyclone season. Has literally asked me already, are we going for 2 weeks next year? In day 3.
And they've been here for 4 days.
4 days.
3.5 days.
3 days, yeah.
Wow.
So we're already taking up 2 weeks of next year because she's already made a point of it.
Thank you for that testimony.
Yeah,
So Trevor's a really good bodyboarder. So Trevor, you've been here to Tavarua before. You were here
2003.
many years ago.
This wasn't this.
That is 21 years ago. So how has it changed from then to now?
Well, there's a pool.
Yes.
There
wasn't before.
There's a bar.
A bar.
There's a place to eat. There's another bar. There's lines of boats. The boat ride here originally was like an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
You weren't leaving from a little, I think that was that an abandoned camp? I don't know what it was
yeah,
before.
jeez, I don't know.
But you were leaving from the main harbor before.
Wow.
You were only surfing cloud break. It was crap when we were here, so there wasn't much to do besides that.
Okay.
And it was 21 years ago. So.
And you stayed here on Tavarua?
We stayed here, but it wasn't this. It wasn't.
Wow.
Beautiful. It wasn't. This is like 5-star.
Yeah.
This is bougie.
It's like the Four Seasons if it was a surf resort.
Right. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a place quite like this ever.
So it's not cheap to come here. We all know that. Do you feel like you're getting your money's worth?
I know I'm getting my money's worth.
Yeah.
I brought 5 people, so that's, I don't want to put it in any other way, but life-changing for my kids.
Yeah.
You only live once.
Right.
Like, you never know when, never know.
100% with you, man.
Most people aren't, like, killing it at 60 like Jay is. So,
thanks.
Super blessed to
Yeah.
be able to come here. And quite honestly, if you can plan out your days, it's not that, it's expensive. I won't say it's not, but you can plan out a trip like this.
Right.
Yeah. And you make it so easy, Jay. You
We
make it
try.
so easy, you
try.
make it easy. You make it easy.
I love it. Man.
Yeah, for real.
That's cool. What's your favorite wave so far? You haven't really surfed anywhere other than Cloud Break, right?
Only surfed Cloud Break. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Yes.
And then seeing what happens after that.
Yeah.
All the guys on the trip that have been here multiple times keep talking about surfing restaurants.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking forward to Big Cloud Break.
Love it, man.
Yeah. So thank you.
Cool. So that's Trevor Ellis, folks. We got a quick shot of Trevor Ellis here in Tavarua, and it's paradise. We're stoked to have him here, and thanks for coming, brother.
No, thanks for having me.
Right on, man.
I beat it.
Okay, we'll see who else we can get in the hot seat, folks. Stay tuned. All right, the next person in the hot seat is
Dave.
Your last name?
Oh, I'm Marino.
Okay. So Dave is an Orange County bodyboarder. Orange County is where Vicky and I live in Southern California.
Yep.
And Dave, you are a longtime bodyboarder. How many
bodyboard.
years?
Oh, 40.
You haven't counted?
I had the OG Mike Stewart. Not the OG, Mike Stewart, the OG Mach 7.
Okay.
So the first Mach 7.
So the black bottom or
At
the
T
brown bottom, technically.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe it wasn't the first one.
Wow. So, okay, you've been around for a while.
Yep.
And what are your local spots there where we live in South Orange County?
I go to Creek. I love Creek. Creek
Yep.
is an awesome place. It's definitely the best spot.
Love it.
Yeah. All the jetties in Newport are good.
Okay.
Chill.
So you still get out there. Now, Dave is unique in our Tavi Tube Tour world in that he booked literally less than a week before he came here. Tell me why.
We got waves. The forecast looked good. They said it's going to be probably too big for you to surf on Thursday, but you'll get to surf the front end and the back end of the swell, and that's what I came for. You know what I mean? So you have more options.
You had never been here before, though,
Nope,
right?
Nope.
But you knew about this place, and you obviously knew about Cloudbreak. Did you know about all the other spots in this area?
Oh, I know about the place out front. So yeah.
Restaurants he's talking about.
Yes.
And
none of the other spots. Yeah.
Right. So, well, yesterday we surfed at Desperations.
Yes.
And how did that go for you?
It was just like surfing a beach break on a reef, and it was kind of chill, but it was, it was fun. It was
nothing world class.
Nothing epic by far, but no, it's no cloud break. But
so let me hear, because you're a first timer here, your impressions of Tavarua.
It's awesome.
Why is it awesome?
Food is super good. I love the food. You can eat as much as you want. I eat a lot. And you can go out to Cloudbreak 4 times a day, if not, wherever else you want to go. So you can access all the breaks, which is dope.
And we've had some decent waves. Actually, today was pretty good. How did you feel about Cloudbreak? You feeling comfortable as the swell continues to rise?
Well, I haven't seen it rise yet, but yeah, it was pretty perfect and chill today. I mean, like, I couldn't ask for a mellow vibe. Head high is really not very sketchy, and it seemed to be fine. I wasn't surfing head high on the inside, but as much. But the main peak was fine.
But yeah, I saw you kind of different peaks. You scored some really good waves, especially this morning.
Yeah, Cloudbreak, it breaks all up and down the reef, so you can surf. This section, that section, this section, that section, whatever working.
Yeah.
And so it holds the crowd.
So why Tavi Tube Tour? I mean, why did you come with our group here?
It's bodyboarders, and I don't know, it sounded good to me, and there was surf. I've always wanted to come here, and Jay's a good guy. I shop at the shop. I go down to set. I've been going to eBodyboarding in there and buying stuff and gear and getting good recommendations and stuff for I don't know, gosh, 10 years.
Well, I love it,
20
man.
years.
Thanks
20
for the
years.
support.
No worries.
I love it. So if somebody was on the fence, like, should I go on Tavi Tube Tour? It's kind of expensive. Do you have something to say to those folks?
It's expensive, but it's worth it. I don't really see what the other options are here. The other options would be maybe less expensive, but I don't know how you got. When we got out of Cloudbreak at dawn, and there was hardly any people there, so you're the first ones out. And when it's not firing, it's even less crowded.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have all the superstars here today.
Oh yeah, because there's a big swell on tap.
They're very nice, though.
Yep.
You get to see. Hopefully get to witness some awesome surfing,
yeah.
for sure. Too big, you can sit on the boat and they'll all be here. So.
I love it, man. Hey, thanks for joining us on Tavi Tube Tour. We're just trying to get a little smattering of opinions. And that is Dave. We're stoked to have him here. First timer on Tavi Tube Tour, hopefully not last time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right on, guys.
Love this place.
Woo. All right, our last man on the Real Deal show tonight for our Tavi Tube Tour episode is Juan Minuta. Did I say that correctly?
That's right, Jay. Juan
Welcome.
Minuta. Thank you very much.
So that we can say in English 1 minute. Juan Minuta, right? So Juan is originally from Peru, and he now lives in Florida.
Florida, that's right.
Yes.
And the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Gulf Coast, and you have how many kids?
2. Right here is 1.
Yes.
Beautiful Catalina.
And Adriano, who is how old?
16.
And how old is Catalina?
She's 12.
She's 12. So Juan, Vicky and I just got back from a trip to Central America with Bodyboard Holidays. We were in El Salvador with Juan, and we had some great waves down there, right?
Definitely, yes.
Excellent.
Always, El Salvador, you always deliver to us, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I got contacted by your wife, Marina, a few months ago, who said, we want to go on Tavi Tube Tour 2024, and that was for your anniversary. Was that an anniversary gift?
Actually, this year, it actually falls into our wedding anniversary, 18 years.
Yeah.
And it actually falls in a couple days into my birthday.
Yes, and how old are you going to be?
49.
You're a young man. Compared to me, you're very young. So 49 years old. So you live in Florida. How often do you get to bodyboard over there?
I'm gonna be honest, it's like probably 4 times a year.
Okay.
Like I'm counting Salvador and
Yes.
other destinations. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what listen, I grew up in this since I was 12. You
Yes.
know, and it's always in your heart.
Yeah.
The sensation and being able to be in the water and, you know, ride wave is always been part of my life.
Yeah.
And I have a little break in between because, you know, moving into a different country and all that, you know, you have to focus on a couple of things to get situated.
Yeah.
But after that, I kind of recoup like that kind of feeling of like, hey, let's go in the water. And now I want to transfer to my kids because I don't think it's a better feeling than this, being on the water and enjoy
Yes.
the wave, you know?
Well,
and it make me meet people like you.
Yeah.
I have to put some other names in here like Rob that always, you know,
Rob
is being
Barber,
like,
shout out
yes,
to you, Rob.
shout out Rob. And you know, it's always been so nice to be part of this, you know, part of this community, of the bodyboarding community.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what made you sign up? Well, your wife signed you up for Tavi Tube
Yes,
Tour.
that's true.
Why?
She signed me because she's like, one day we were looking online about it and I explained, oh yeah, we're going to Tabarua Island, it's this and this, and she's like, why we not doing it? I always think it was like some kind of dream that, you know, it's more for me, but listen, after day one, I realized that it's for all of us, you know, and we all like, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a dream.
Yes.
It's a dream and it's a little tricky because it's going to be so hard. I think it's going to be for us, if we're not coming here every single year, what else we're going to do? This
You
one
said
is
that
beautiful.
to me
Yes.
in the water today. You said
Come on,
no other
you
vacation.
see the waves that I took today and it's impossible not to say this, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It was
Juan had
beautiful.
some great waves at Cloudbreak this afternoon, and he said to me in the water, I don't think any other vacation will compare to this, right?
It's true.
Yeah, what do you think, Catalina? Do you agree?
I mean, yeah, it's a nice island.
Yeah, it's
There's
beautiful,
really
right?
waves.
Today she has like her first good waves, you know, out of like the left on, what is the island right next to us?
Yeah, so there's Namotu
Numoto left,
yes.
yeah, she had like a few of them. So she got a glimpse of what it is, bodyboard.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it was easy waves for you, do you think? Easy-ish?
Easy-ish.
Okay, but you know, you're alive and you're smiling, so it wasn't crazy waves. Do you like the water temperature here?
Oh yeah, the water temperature is nice.
Yeah, I think it's probably the same as where you live on the Gulf Coast in the summer months. It's very warm, right?
Not even in the summer, really.
Yeah.
Summer, winter, it's the same temperature here.
Oh
really.
yeah, yeah, I love it. And so your family's having a wonderful time. They're getting introduced to riding waves. We think our spot right out here, Kittyland, which you can't see on camera, but there's a really good family-friendly spot here. This may be a really good option for you, Catalina,
Tomorrow.
and your brother in a couple of days, maybe tomorrow actually on the higher tide. So yeah, so Juan, we've been to a few different spots. What's your favorite so far?
Cloudbreak.
Cloudbreak.
Yeah.
That's
We have
everybody's.
a couple good waves on Desperations. Like
Yes,
yesterday.
yep.
Yeah. It's good to have a couple rides, you know.
Yes.
Like to try
I know
to,
you like rides, right?
Of course. but definitely, you know, the waves, especially today, this afternoon, when the wind just kind of disappeared,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It
It
was
was.
magical, you know. I was
Yeah.
with a smile here to here, you know.
Yeah,
I think
got
you see
some
it.
long waves, some really good long waves. So, yeah, I mean, here's a family man who came on our trip. He had a blast. What do you like about the resort? What is it that appeals to you here?
I think it's nothing that you can dislike from the people, from all the accommodations. You are pretty much, you just get out of your beret and everything is for you,
Yeah.
you know? It makes it so special. That's what I told you, listen, you spoil us completely this time. It's gonna be so difficult. And I think we just have to come here again and again and again, really.
I love it, man.
I really appreciate, Jay, that you put all this together because it's really one thing that for a bodyboard person like me, and transfer to my family and be able to all of us enjoy it, listen, it's nothing better than this. Really.
That's a great way to finish this podcast. So Juan Minuta, thank you so much.
Thank you, my
Muchas
friend.
gracias a ti. Muchas gracias. You speak Spanish, right?
Yeah, thank
you.
you.
Better with your father being from Peru. We love it. So folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Real Deal Show.
We see you in the wave, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see you in the surf, folks. That's it. See you later.
Bye-bye.